Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Tycoon. As you guys can see, our profit's doing pretty good. Um, just a recent kind of rescheduling of all my planes is, I had just had like, I don't know, close to 50 of them sitting around. I still have 27 sitting around plus 3 cargo planes. So that's a lot, but yeah. What I've been up to is continuing with math scheduling slash replaning basically. So if you guys can see here, like here's my top page of routes, of course, all 747s, and I have a lot of these now. Some of them are leased stopover planes, which are making a little bit less, such as routes like this. Still good profit, of course. As you guys can see on the downticks, they're making about 3 million, and on the upticks, they're making about 6 million. So a really good amount of money in general. And I've also started to introduce a ton of DC 1030s into slightly nicer routes. And as you guys can see, they are making a ton and a ton of money. 5.3 million. I could probably upgrade the size of these aircraft to a 747. What I'm going to do eventually, right, is go through my DC 1030s, and anything which has no variance in the occupancy should be upgraded to a 747 probably, because the route is big enough. But yeah, this can happen on a lot of 747 routes with these huge variances. But that's what happens when you have tough competition like this guy does. So yeah, these are the kind of routes I have. Some of them seem a bit too good, and I'm likely going to be changing these out for 747s. And some of them are a little bit weak in the sense that there's a high variance, but I'm not going to delete them as to keep up the pressure of the competition. I believe my profit is increasing at a rate faster than people around me, and very soon we should start to see movement up the leaderboard. As you guys can see, the difference between number 2 and 1 and the rest of the pack is a long way, but I believe I can get in between these guys for sure, if not eventually finish first, though it's going to be a tough and arduous road up. They're probably around 5, if I were to guess, over 5 million in profit now per, or 500,000 per turn. But that's just a guess. I'm not going to spend too many credits checking. But I will do is I'm going to go through my routes and basically add in some bigger airplanes. So yeah, as I said, I'm going to go here and check if there's variance. If there's variance, we're going to go back and find another route with no variance, like I remember Hiroshima to Frankfurt, and we're just going to throw 747s on these routes. That is basically the plan. Yeah, just to go through these routes and see anything which has no variance, like I remember Bangkok to London had no variance. We're going to go ahead and throw a 747 on that. And then going out to Frankfurt, yep, that could be another 747 route. And then I, of course, now have no more 747s and tons of DC 1030. So what I'm going to do with this is then go into the DC, the Douglas aircraft, DC 62, and then I'm going to find anything basically without variance here, and we're going to go ahead and pop some nice DC 1030s on these routes. So I think it might be easier to do from this tab, a little bit less clicking. So let's go ahead and find those DC 8s. These are DC 861s. We're looking for 62s. And yeah, anything like this, I'm assuming won't have variance for a DC 1030 sized aircraft. Yeah, there's tons of routes like this. Xiamen to Frankfurt is a good one. Can go ahead and throw a nice plane on that. Yangon to London. Los Angeles is so big that some of these direct routes could probably use or DC 1030s and even 747s. Like the route I just replaced will probably be a 747 in the future. Oh yeah, look at this. Tons of these Frankfurt routes are just in desperate need for a bigger plane. Yeah, I mean, that one, I'll leave it for now. Yeah, I just want to get the order nice, kind of. Does this have variance? Yeah, it does. So that kind of route is a bit too small to add a larger plane on. LA to Basel. You know what? Those are all new routes, so I'll let them kind of settle in to see if they have any variance. But yeah, London to or Los Angeles to Geneva, for example, definitely can just support a DC-1030. London, Copenhagen to Los Angeles. That's probably a 747. Yeah, I don't really want to compete with that yet. Yeah, that's a bit difficult. Let's see if I can find some easier routes to compete with. Los Angeles to Rabat. Yeah, that seems to be pretty good. We can go ahead and throw a DC-1030 on there. And that's very nice. But now we have no DC-1030s. Now, first things first, gotta put in an order of new DC-1030s. The reason why I'm using these, even though they're pretty large aircraft, is because they have good range, but most importantly, and I really do mean this, that this is most importantly, I'm able to afford a lot of them, but not too many, so as my current not very active playing can keep up with using them. That's literally my mentality right now in terms of those aircraft. And yeah, now that I've finally, done all that airplane replacing, I can go ahead and go back to the route opening, because there are tons and tons of great routes to hubs like Frankfurt, which are just completely untaken. And yeah, I really want to start expanding the number of hubs I have, because it seems that there's very low competition in a lot of the hubs, and then a very high competition in the hubs where there happens to be a big player. Let me give you an example. Here's Hong Kong, and it's a desert. Hong Kong to almost nothing, even like pretty big cities, has been taken. Chicago is another desert, basically. It's for the size of Chicago. A ton of profitable routes, extremely profitable routes, have not been taken. Meanwhile, London, which is, of course, an extremely profitable destination, but look at that. Everywhere. Los Angeles, a lot of destinations, not everywhere. And, like Beijing has a decent number of destinations. I think I have a hub ready in Beijing, so I'm going to think about opening this soon. Who owns this airport, by the way? My friend owns this airport. Maybe get some slots here just to force him to upgrade it. I'm an evil genius. But, yeah, I'm thinking of opening a Beijing hub soon. I haven't opened it yet, mostly because I don't really want the hub expense when there's still plenty of other routes to be taking. But eventually I'm going to want to do it just because I'm going to run out of nice, high occupancy, larger routes. Right now, of course, there are still plenty. For example, here's one. That's probably a 747 capable route for sure in the future, but for now it'll just be flown with a DC-1030 just to kind of draw the lines. My company's still pretty small, so I can do this. I can have planes flying on the route a bit smaller than I intend, and then actually be able to find the route in the future to replace it. In the future, like pretty far future from now, I'm gonna probably have thousands of routes, in which case this kind of method of playing will be impossible. I'll just have to put the correct size plane on route immediately, otherwise it'll get lost into the void, I might never see that particular route again until it's time to replace the aircraft, which in this game takes like 20 years. So that's 20 years of significantly less profit than you could be making from a route. On the bright side of things, this particular game world doesn't seem to be limited by the amount of demand you can find, but the amount of demand taken. Like very specific cities have tons of routes available, and other very specific cities have like extreme amounts of competition. So, whether one city falls into each category depends drastically on whether one of the top two guys is hubbing there, because the top two guys are freaking huge. And even though have a company which is very capable of fighting competition, it's still more profitable to not be fighting competition. So, yeah, we'll see how all this goes, and whether staying competitive with these guys and opening up at the same hubs is going to be the best strategy, or trying to avoid them and opening different smaller hubs will be a better idea. I'm not really sure what the answer to my question is yet. but we should be finding out. Also, I do have a plan currently to take London to everything, so I think it's time to start enacting that plan. Um, yeah, just regardless of size, London to everything is probably a decent route, to be honest. Um, yeah, London is just so big on its own that with these extremely long range stopovers, just about anything can become profitable. Uh, at the same time, almost everything can become competition, but you know what? That's okay with me. That's kind of what I've accepted from being sharing a hub with the biggest player on the planet right now, and I'm pretty happy to be. Oh, let me delete that request 1 second. Don't really want to be requesting just 10 slots or whatever. That seems like a pretty big waste. But yeah, basically anything which has slots and no competition route, I'm just gonna open it up. Uh, Unfortunately, it looks like the has slots category has been pretty difficult to fulfill. Uh, yeah, I have no idea what size plane these routes can do also, but you know, we'll find out. We'll find out. Yeah, tons and tons of cities, as you guys can see. I've requested a ton and a ton of slots in just random little airports here and there. Getting ready for this, but it doesn't still doesn't seem like it's quite enough. Uh, yeah, I see plenty of cities where I potentially would want. What the frick? Who's flying a 747 between London and Abu Dhabi? There's plenty of cities which need slots which don't have them, so you know that's a project in itself. Getting slots in every airport in the world. Um, yeah, like ton of these airports don't even have airports yet, but you know, based on the fact I'm almost done scheduling, you know, only a little bit left to go before I'm really out of long range passenger aircraft. I think I'm doing pretty good now. Los Angeles, as you guys can see, this is pretty thorough coverage. Some of these are great routes, some of these are good routes with competition. Keeping what is that graph, man? Wow, we are getting a lot of competition here. Looks like my price is the highest, so I'm gonna try changing that economy price to 1.24, just you know to undercut a little bit. Yeah, cause flying with an empty economy class is no good, and this is a competition route, but I'm gonna open it anyway. Just because this is a really nice kind of route which I don't want to be missing out on. And then for the rest of my aircraft, I think they're all pretty short-ranged ones. I remember I also included some for like DC-8 11s and stuff which are being replaced. Yep, like here's Portland, and then there's London. Why can't I select the second airport? There we go. And then, did I remember to get anything down here? That's too short, unfortunately. We gotta look for destinations over here. That's too far. And it doesn't look like there are any, period. Just not enough routes in the correct range bracket, it looks like. I mean, there's cities like this and this, but that's too far, and the other one's too bad. So, yeah, that's going to be a bit of a struggle. What other planes do I have? I have 720s, so I'll just take it with a direct with a 707 720, I guess. Better than having the plane sitting around doing absolutely nothing. So there's Portland to London. Just use this garbage ass 707 120, which I probably bought by accident. I don't think I'd ever buy them on purpose. And then Rochester. Yeah, I know it's good to be flying these routes though. Just because these planes on the moment, you know, make a couple K each, and it really adds up when you know, actually remember to fly with all your aircraft. Now, the other ones, I think I might just use them for Frankfurt routes or Los Angeles going this way. These ones are good stopovers, so it's a bit of a shame to be taking these routes kind of directly. So maybe if I can find some nice transcontinental routes, it should be better because the transcontinental routes are not so important for stopovers. There's enough cities so that you can find alternate routes. So yeah, I think I'll just use these planes for transcontinental. Um, in Los Angeles, though I'm quickly gonna run out of slots, which is a bit unfortunate, but yeah. Yeah, there'll be plenty of other routes in the continent to be making stopovers from Asia when routes for that kind of length come out with the 767-200. But yeah, I think it's better to just get all these planes flying now because they've been idle for so long. Um, what else do we have here? Cleveland. Oh, I just click cargo. Let's do passenger. And there's not enough slots, so we'll hold on to that. Because I'll probably forget to increase the slot count for a long time. And then let's just make sure we got all our prices correct. Like this, and then just do it individually per every class, as to make sure everything goes well. I'm not really sure if this is actually accomplishing anything besides doing it all together. Did I remember to set the price limitations for that? Because if I didn't, I'm gonna have some interesting prices. But I think I did. Remember to set the right limitations, and yeah, that's basically all I want to do. So I'm gonna be right back when the term passes to see how this affects my profit, if anything. Um, like what's likely going to happen, of course, is that most of my routes are actually still empty on the first take. So even though I scheduled all of them from not flying, my profit won't go up. But I'm kind of curious to see if, in case it does, because then that'd be a pretty good thing. So yeah, just gonna make sure I have enough of these. Just a little bit of extra on each one, just so that they don't suddenly fill up. Because that's never a good thing. Los Angeles, Frankfurt, and London 1 doesn't have a lot of new routes, so that's fine. So yeah, I'll be right back in a bit. Alright guys, moment of truth. Very slow loading for that. Looks pretty good. And nope. Well, 400,000 is still pretty good uptick. Increasing about 100,000 a day, so that's pretty good rate, on pace to reach a billion by, what's it called, 1980, and yeah, it's, never a bad thing. Especially considering my aircraft count is not too high, 289. Not reaching crazy 2000s, something like that yet. So yeah, we're doing pretty good. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. That's really all I want to do. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.